I am incredibly excited for the future of Fallout 76. Earlier today, Fallout 76 got a 25GB new update, and this is the one. I had the opportunity to play this a couple of times now, both on the PTS, but also Bethesda recently flew me out to London to experience not only Skyline Valley, but also share details about the future of this game, and like I said, I'm really excited. So in addition to looking at what was added with today's 40GB update for Fallout 76, we're also going to be talking about the future of this game, as that also looks incredibly promising. And something else that looks incredibly promising are these Fallout-themed displays. Displays are high-quality metal posters that you can easily move or rearrange on your wall. They have designs for all of your favorite Fallout games and even the Fallout TV show. You can pick one up for yourself and even get a bit of a discount using my affiliate link down below. Looking first at this new Skyline Valley update, this is some of the most Fallout-feeling Fallout 76 content I've experienced in years. And this one really lands for me on a couple of different fronts. There's a completely new region added to Appalachia with Skyline Valley, and this region is notable. Firstly, because it is the first time we are getting a map expansion for Fallout 76. This is a big deal. The region itself is based off of the real-life Shenandoah National Park, and several of the locations are recreations of iconic landmarks in that national park, like this archway that's now taken over by super mutants, or this real-life presidential camp and bunker, including some secrets within. So just in general, this is another really cool example of Fallout recreating what we have in real life in its post-apocalyptic alternate reality. But of course, in Fallout 76, Shenandoah will look a bit different. As you'll learn over the course of the questline here, the weather in Skyline Valley is completely distinct, with this red storm hovering over the central location. As you explore through the region, you'll find these new ghoulified enemies known as the Lost. These enemies will attack you on sight and can either be just regular feral ghouls that will explode into a static shock, or non-feralized ghouls, which will use a variety of ranged weapons against you and utter some mysterious lines. And this unique combination of feral ghouls and non-feral ghouls make the Lost a unique type of threat, as they have some enemies that'll just sprint at you and explode, while some others can seriously damage you from afar. As well as there's one new creature added with this update. Mutated turkeys are roaming around now, and they have a few different attacks they can use against you. And this truly is a new region. Over the course of the questline, you'll experience lots of it, but several locations are just new and really fun places to explore, or even potentially build your camp at. There are also 2 new events added with this one. Each of these will tie into the questline, but hey, no spoilers here. Dangerous Pastimes is a new public event. This one's pretty straightforward. Gather harvester resources to power up this lightning rod at the power plant. Because yeah, you're literally putting on a crazy lightning show for a bunch of spectators. After you gather enough harvester components, you'll need to take down waves of incoming enemies. These will all be made up of the Lost, including a few power armored Lost that act more as boss tier enemies. And honestly, this entire event is kind of like just one big mosh pit of combat as you're going on fighting the Lost in waves. Although unfortunately, after playing this extensively on the public test server, the live version is significantly tuned down. In all likelihood, this is due to less server resources being available on live compared to the PTS, where things are a lot more open because there's way less players, but it also could just be a genuine change. But I think you could pretty clearly see from this gameplay on the PTS, and then comparing that to the new gameplay on live, that yeah, things are a lot calmer in the live version of this event. On the PTS, waves of enemies were constantly spawning, and it was hectic and chaotic, but a ton of fun. On live, I had trouble finding any enemy to take on most of the time. And from this, you can get a variety of Skyline Valley themed rewards. A ton of camp objects and outfits are available, but also 2 new unique weapons. These being 2 legendary weapons that have a special skin, as well as fixed legendary effects on them. So you could either get Red Terror as a special LMG, or V63 Bertha as a special Tesla cannon that can pack a seriously powerful punch. And the second new event added with this update is even more notable, because if you nuke anywhere in Skyline Valley, neurological warfare will trigger. There's a new boss fight where on top of the local weather station, you'll take on these gigantic robots known as Storm Goliaths. They're effectively like souped up versions of Robo-Brains, with giant brains still in the center. And the entire setup of this event is pretty fun. There'll be a bunch of other enemies around, in addition to the numerous Storm Goliaths that are standing on this rooftop. And while the event itself is pretty simple, just take down all of the Storm Goliaths and you win, it has some really fun modifiers. Each time you take down one Storm Goliath, all of the remaining ones will get a bit stronger. Just in general, there are several Storm Goliaths, so oftentimes you'll find the group splitting up and taking on individual ones, so you feel like you're actually involved in doing something. The Storm Goliaths have really cool animations for when you damage them or when they're taken down, as well as they can use a variety of shocking attacks against you, but also just the event space in general is really cool. They have these Star Wars-like blocking walls that will dynamically turn on and off, restricting access to other sections, and just in general, you're on the roof of this massive building fighting a giant robot with a giant storm behind you. It's really fun thematically, and it really does feel like an epic boss battle as you're doing it. This event too has a ton of rewards associated with it. I'll have a link to the full list in the description, but a variety of camp items as well as some Vault 63 themed outfits you can get for yourself, as well as 3 unique legendaries with the Vault 63 laser rifle, the Vault 63 Gatling laser, and the coolest looking but perhaps crappiest of the bunch with Anchorage Ace. There's also a bunch of lore to explain what exactly is going on here, who are the enemies, why are they made, and what's going on with the weather station, but that's explained during the questline, and again, no spoilers. But of course, speaking of, we also have this epic Skyline Valley questline, which is probably the main appeal of this update for most of you because this questline's fantastic. I won't be spoiling this one, so don't worry about that, but Skyline Valley will be a vault-focused story, and this is a pretty big deal. It's the first time a vault has ever opened in Fallout 76 outside of Vault 76, where we come from. As here, the mysterious Vault 63 is now open. You'll begin the quest finding the vault door flung across the map, and then have to dive into what really happened with Vault 63 and its inhabitants. Because as you enter into the vault, you'll notice that, oh yeah, all of these inhabitants look suspiciously similar to the Lost, but they're not attacking me on sight. Speaking about the story on a high level, they did a really great job at making this consistently entertaining. You'll get a nice mix of quests, some of these being super intense, other ones being relatively simple tasks for some of the vault residents, but over the course of the questline, you'll be breaking into other parts of Vault 63, and several of these parts had strange or curious things going on. The intrigue was consistently maintained through this one, but also you'll have direct interactions with notable names, both in and outside of the vault. At its core, Skyline Valley is a questline about people, and the choices some of these people are making, so there are very strong characters to back all of this up. The main one being Hugo, the Vault 63 overseer, who will readily dive into the philosophical with you.
If you were to repair a ship by replacing it plank by plank, piece by piece, so much so that no single piece of wood from the original vessel remained, would you have a new ship? Or would it still be the original, only improved?
This character alone really drives the story forward and reminded me a ton of Dima from Far Harbor, which is a very good thing. Beyond this, you'll meet several other notable names within Vault 63 who will bounce off Hugo with their own ideas and opinions. So to a degree, you do get that role-playing component where you could really side or go against Hugo depending on how you personally feel about what he's doing. And there are some very difficult decisions to be made around all of this. It's not a clear black and white answer, but the questline will also push you up against some of the other interesting and notable factions in Appalachia, like a new communist force that's here, and you'll be learning how exactly this communist force came to be and what their involvement is. There's going to be a Mothman cultist component of this questline. You'll even be able to disguise yourself to infiltrate their base. So it's one of those questlines that'll fly by. At its core, you're going to be exploring different parts of Vault 63, but even when you leave, you're exploring a new communist base, a Mothman base, as well as all kinds of interesting characters throughout. In total, it's about 4 hours of questing, and towards the end of this one, you have major decisions to be made that will lead to different quest outcomes. This is definitely one of those quest lines that will make you think, it'll make you feel sad, and you'll probably make you hate certain characters, and that's why it's really so fun. This quest line will almost certainly make you actually feel something. And Skyline Valley may well be the best Fallout 76 quest line to ever come to this game. But also, you'll get a bunch of cool new rewards while doing this. There's going to be some more unique weapons, including some very powerful unique weapons like the Ticket to Revenge, a legendary railway rifle. But there are more, and you'll just earn these as you finish some of these quests. Several cool outfits are included with this, but also a plethora of camp objects you could place down, as well as 2 proper new weapons, with the Vault 63 Shock Baton, as well as the epic Vault 63 Zweihander. This is a special and much cooler variant of the Plasma Cutter. This update also kicks off an effort to rebalance several aspects of the game, this mostly around some of the weapons right now, and it seems like it's relatively minor with this update, but as I mentioned, it's a larger effort. So we should be seeing a more comprehensive rebalance that's dished out over the next several updates, and that gets me excited. Today's update doesn't really contain major changes to the meta with its balance changes, but hopefully some of these in the future can change things up in a more dramatic way. And on top of all of this, you will also have the new season for Fallout 76, as well as a ton of new microtransactions to purchase, including this new bus shelter, where basically you place down this bus at your camp, and upon going in, it'll transport you to a completely new outdoor building space that definitely is pretty interesting. There's some serious potential for builds at this one. But overall, for me, Skyline Valley is one of the best updates Fallout 76 has ever gotten. It finally feels like we're getting a substantial amount of content from just one update. We're getting a full new quest line, but also 2 new events, and everything about this is just pretty good. This new boss fight is freaking awesome. I've done this a dozen times now, and it's still super fun and really really cool. As well as the questline, albeit a bit on the shorter side, really does feel like Fallout. I like Fallout 76, but I love the single player Fallouts, and this questline in particular feels far more like a single player Fallout DLC than almost any other Fallout 76 update we've had thus far. So if you already own Fallout 76 or even just have Game Pass, I would absolutely reinstall the game to experience this one. And based off what I heard in London, I think the future for Fallout 76 is also looking quite exciting. Like I mentioned a bit earlier, Bethesda flew me out to London last week and put me up in a hotel to give me a peek at the future of Fallout 76. And something I was incredibly happy to see is they're going to be continuing their stories or somewhat of your experience in Skyline Valley. As in fall of this year, Milepost Zero is coming to Fallout 76, which is going to be a totally new experience set in this region. You'll be working with the Blue Ridge Caravan Company to guide caravans around Skyline Drive. It seems like this will be a proper new event. You can already find some high-level teases of this in the DLC right now, but from this event, you'll also be able to unlock a caravan outpost of your own. And this caravan outpost is described as functioning quite similarly to a house in Skyrim. It was confirmed that you can get Brahmin for this, as well as even your own kids at your caravan outpost. So it almost seems like a simpler version of a base building mechanic is being added to Fallout 76, but it definitely has me intrigued. Right now, camps are an awesome part of this game because it's such a quick and accessible way to see the creations of other community members. Like just stumbling upon really cool builds is such a great background activity in 76. It definitely sounds like, at least to some degree, we could see this further expanded with the caravan outpost mechanic. I'm also really happy that they're sticking with Skyline Valley, at least for the next update. So often Fallout 76 has had this issue of implementing something that's interesting and cool, but then immediately moving on from it. At least as of right now, we know that the next new event will be in Skyline Valley, and I think that's cool. Hopefully they continue this in the future. Even beyond that, it was confirmed that Mischief Night is going to be making a return as the Halloween event for 2024, but as many of you likely saw at the Xbox Showcase, this is not the only new feature on the way to Fallout 76. As in early 2025, playing as a ghoul is also coming to this game. This option will open up after you hit level 50, with a brand new quest that's going to unlock then. And as a ghoul, you'll be immune to radiation, which will block bloodied builds, but you'll gain access to dozens of new perk cards, and of course, a new appearance for your character. I think this is a really cool new feature, as it's one of those features that just lands on all fronts. From just a role-playing and cool Fallout feature perspective, this is great. Fans have been asking to play as a ghoul in a Fallout game for decades now. And of course, that desire skyrocketed following the success of the Fallout TV show and that ghoul character. But it also has some really interesting gameplay implications. You get to go down a defined path, unlocking new abilities, no longer needing power armor for nuke zones is pretty big, but you're also locking yourself out of certain builds like Bloodied. So even just conceptually, this is really fun to me. A proper two-class structure will now be in Fallout 76, where you'll have to pick which direction you want to go in. As of right now, we of course don't know what the new perk cards associated with the ghoul class will actually do, but it seems like this has a lot of potential. It's honestly something I'd love to see them continue to expand in the future. Let me play as a super mutant also. And the devs also confirmed you can undo this all. So if you don't want to play as a ghoul forever, there's a way to undo it if you want to. And just generally speaking, I am incredibly excited for the future of Fallout 76, especially after this London event. Much of this presentation and Q&A I was a part of were handled by art director John Rush, and John Rush just feels like somebody who really gets Fallout 76. The new content they've shown gets me excited, but John Rush also gets me super excited for the future of this game, as it just feels like the ship's being led by the right person. But that is the latest Fallout 76 updates, as well as a peek at the future of this game. But if you're still hungry for more Fallout, check out this video.